and Johannah, or as if you may know them better as Flo Mo.
Hello.
Yeah.
Hello, everybody.
Thanks, ladies. And we might just sort of have a bit of a chat while we wait for everyone to log on. Well, they've probably been waiting because we're a bit late.
Yeah, sorry about that. Wi-Fi issues.
So, yeah, well, I'm not sure. It's the middle of the afternoon. Everyone's probably at work, so they may be watching it later after the fact. But yeah, it was so great that you can join us and we can have a bit of a chat and get to meet you and get to know you. So yeah, thanks heaps for joining us.
Oh my goodness, thank you. Such a pleasure.
Loretta's home country.
Yeah.
My people. My people.
There's someone. Oh wow, hi. Someone's here. Hi.
Yeah, someone's here. We can't see who you are because it just says Facebook user. So if you want to say your name, we'll know who you are. But yeah, we can all see the chat as it pops up. So say hi and we can all see what happens there. But yeah, anyway, we'll kick off. The first question that we have is from Darren, who's one of our Aussie Hardies, and he wants to know, I don't know whether we'll start with Loretta and then Johannah, you can answer, but he wants to know, what's your greatest passion in life outside of acting?
Oh my goodness. I mean, I feel like I have a lot. I couldn't say that I have one specific thing. I love to read. I'm deeply passionate about reading. I really rediscovered it when I had my daughter, and I just would read voraciously, you know, if I had the time to do it. But you know that, and I love to travel. I love traveling. I've missed it so much, and I've been really fortunate to go to so many different places in the world, and I'm excited to do that again. And you know, my kid, my daughter, my family. I have a young child, and so I'm very much in mummy land right now. And yeah, that takes up a big chunk of my time, but it's also really, really fun. You know, there's lots of dance parties happening, you know, in our house like every day, and yeah, I'm really enjoying that at this time of my life.
Beautiful.
Delightful. Yeah. Oh goodness, like Loretta, so many. I could literally sit in my armchair and read for 10 hours straight. So I'm right there with Loretta. Love reading. Voraciously curious about the world. I actually love design. So whether it's interior design, architecture, fashion, I just love the visual world. I love beauty. I love I love all of that. So that's always been a real passion of mine. I also am very passionate about being a mother, although my daughter's 24. Spending time with her is one of my very favorite things to do. And I swore I would never become this person. Not because there's anything wrong with it, but you know, when you're a young child and you get roped into your mother's gardening projects, you're like, oh goodness, please let me never be a gardener. As the older I've gotten, the more and I've been very fortunate to have some property on an island off the coast of Canada. So the pandemic has afforded me some time to actually really enjoy spending time in the garden. I think also with the chaos of the pandemic and the world at large, there's so much happening, and there's so many heartbreaking, painful issues in the world right now that for me, I think I get too emotionally invested in the state of the world because I care so much. So for me, I actually have been finding spending time in nature so deeply therapeutic. When I'm feeling ever like it's all too much for me, I just go weed for 4 hours and I feel a little bit calmer about things. So I've been spending a lot of time outdoors. So I'm very grateful for that. Yeah. So that's a little snapshot of things I'm interested in.
Beautiful. People have rediscovered simple pleasures, haven't they?
You know what? That's exactly well said. Very well said.
Yeah. Very well said. Yes.
Loretta, Heather wants to know, where did you grow up in Australia? And before you left, did you?
Yeah, I grew up in southeast Queensland. So it's a very small town called Beaudesert. And I grew up outside of that town, in Farmland. And yeah, so I went to university at the University of Southern Queensland in Toowoomba, and then moved to Sydney. And that's where I met my wonderful now Canadian husband. I mean, he's always been Canadian, but he's now my husband. But so we met in Sydney, and that's how I ended up making the move to Canada. So yeah, so middle of nowhere, small town, Hope Valley style.
Yeah,
Really, yeah.
So how does a little farm girl from Bow Desert end up being an actress?
I have actors in my family. My aunt is an actor. My uncle was an actor. My cousins. I have a long lineage of performance in my family, actually, and so it wasn't a huge leap. I mean, I think my parents were hoping I might do something different, but yeah, from a young age, I was a very shy kid, very introverted, and very, very shy. And then I discovered dance. I discovered ballet, and I thought that's really what I wanted to do, was to be a ballerina. And life had other plans for me, even though I did dance for about a decade. But then that opened a door for me to go to like the local musical society and do musicals and plays. And then that sort of acting bug really got activated in me. And so that's it. That's it. So then I auditioned for acting school and got in, and the rest is history.
Wow, cool. Sounds really good. And Johanna, Heather wants to know what's your background in acting as well?
Well, it's actually funny, Loretta. I don't think it's so. This is actually why it's so fun. I feel like I know Loretta quite well in some ways, and I keep wondering, discovering these wonderful pearls of her history. So similar in some ways. I did know she had a dance background, but I don't think I quite realized that the dance background segged into acting for her, as it did me. So as a young girl, I went and saw a beautiful movie about ballet when I was 7, and I decided that was it. That was it. I was going to be a dancer, and I pursued that very seriously. Very seriously, like Loretta, almost every night of the week for years and years and years and years. I went to a prestigious ballet school in Canada here for a while. And then I think I just realized that maybe wasn't quite entirely, I think I realized that, there's a dark side to the ballet world, a lot of eating disorders, and your longevity as a dancer, as a prima ballerina, if you should be ever so lucky or talented to be able to reach that very high echelon, which most of us don't. But even if you were fortunate enough to be a professional dancer, I think I realized that the longevity, I was smart enough at a young age to realize that the longevity might not be there. So I decided that I just really enjoyed performing and the arts in general. So I sort of threw my hat in the acting ring, and here we are. Yeah, I think I was about 15 or 16 years old when I first started to audition for film and television. So yeah.
Yeah, well, I'm a big fan of watching retro TV shows before I go to bed, and so I saw you on 21 Jump Street.
Probably like 18 or 19 years old. That's hilarious.
You were in junior, weren't you? You were like,
I was.
I want to see that. I want to see that.
Yeah. Oh, no, you were like a heroin addict in one or something, weren't you? And then a drug dealer in another one.
What?
I think I was a teen prostitute and then a drug dealer, as one is,
Oh my goodness.
I got to ask Johnny Depp. I got to ask Johnny Depp if he wanted to get it on. That was my famous line. You want to get it on?
Because you were in a drain or something, weren't you?
We're like in this tunnel between the girls. The girls like penitentiary and the boys penitentiary. Oh, it was very sketchy.
Oh my goodness.
So what was it like to work on such an iconic show? One that sort of.
Honestly, I'm not even sure I realized how iconic it was. Yeah. I thought it was cool. But you've got to realize, Johnny Depp was actually a lovely, very well spoken, very intelligent, charming, gentlemanly young man. But he wasn't the icon that he became. And unfortunately now, obviously, surrounded in controversy. But so, I don't think I had any of the sense of how iconic that show would become. I mean, I was delighted to be, on a show and having some fun, but as when you're, what do you know when you're 18? No offense to 18-year-olds. I was just trying to be an actor and do my best. I don't think I had any idea what that show would become or any of the people on or this is my favorite part of that story. The one and only Peter DeLuise, that we would end up many decades later on a show with him behind the camera and me in front of it. How delightful is that? Yeah.
So 21 Jump Street was one of those shows that sort of broke a lot of ground by being so super gritty, and you know, it had transgender characters and prostitutes and all that kind of thing. And we've got you know, When Calls the Heart, Hope Valley, it's kind of the opposite really of that, where we've got this kind of beautiful utopia. How else do you think the television industry has changed over the years from your early experience?
Oh goodness. You know, one of the most noticeable differences is, you know, back in the day when there was only a handful of channels, you know, cable, you know, our ability to access so many kinds of content now, like, you know, the number of shows available, the streaming platforms available. I mean, my 18-year-old head would have exploded at the options, the viewing options available to us now. And I mean, I was one of those people who untethered from cable very, very early on. I haven't had cable TV in probably 20 years. So I was an early adopter to the streaming services. When you go back to it now to try and watch a show with ads, it's challenging, right? You know, you go, oh, the show's got to be paused. And, you know, it's great. You get to go for a washroom break. But so I think that's the number one thing for me, how shows have changed, is just the variety. There's something for everyone. You know, and When Calls the Heart is such a wonderful example of that. You know, if you want a lovely family friendly show, sort of a period piece, like great, you've got this. If you want sort of gritty, you know, crime dramas, you've got that. If you want romance, if you've got the comedy, it's just incredible. I mean, I am very actively engaged as a viewer. You know, it's part of my job to stay up on what's out there, and I, you know, I'm a committed viewer of a consumer of shows, and I can barely keep up. So it just the sheer volume of what's out there. I think that's pretty exciting. There's something for everyone, you know.
Yeah, it's good. Emily wants to know what have been your favourite scenes in When Calls the Heart as Flomo, like acting together, or by yourselves as well?
Well, you know, I mean, I think Johanna and I have talked about this a number of times. But my favourite Flomo scene, and I think it's Johanna's as well, but you'll correct me if I'm wrong, Johanna, is the scene between Florence and Molly just before Flo and Ned's wedding, where Molly has gifted her dress to Florence to wear for her wedding, and Florence is really thanking Molly, you know, and paying tribute to her for being such an incredible, you know, ride or die friend. And yeah, I love that scene. I love that scene for many reasons. I think it just encapsulates so much of their relationship. It encapsulates so much of what the show is about. And it was just a really nice full circle moment, you know, because when we met these characters in season 1, they were very different people in the sense that, I mean, they're the same people, but they were really recovering and reeling from a very big traumatic event. And so I just love that scene. It was so beautiful, and I just love that I got to do it with Johanna, which, you know, one of the big gifts of When Calls the Heart in my life is the people that I've had the opportunity to meet. And, you know, Johanna and I have been doing this. It's going to be 10 years that we've been doing this, and so we've really been able to develop a beautiful friendship, you know, that I really value. And so there was no one else, you know, that I wanted to look into their eyes and you know, say those words. So that's my favorite.
And absolutely, I would underline everything Loretta said. And Loretta, she did most of the talking in that scene. So really, that scene is kudos to Loretta. All I had to do was look into Loretta's beautiful eyes and listen to these heartfelt words and just basically do nothing. I just had to sit there and receive them. So that was the easiest scene in the world in some ways for me to play. And it was such a natural extension of our very real friendship and the love and respect and appreciation I have for Loretta and her beautiful heart. So yeah, it was delightful. And as I say, no acting required.
Yeah. I know, we both cried a lot.
Yeah. Yeah, the director was like, stop crying, stop this tears.
Who is just wonderful, and I love her, and I know her from many years ago because I used to babysit her kids. And so she was like, "Cut, you cannot cry like that." And we were like, I know, we know, we've just got a lot of feelings about this whole scene, this whole situation. And so we had to reel it back in and really, you know, just try not to go into full ugly cry.
And that's so funny because so many actors are like, oh, you know, crying on camera is so hard. We had the opposite problem.
No, we were like, simmer down. You gotta keep it in check.
Yeah. So Flomo's been known to have a few little mischievous antics. If you could dream up a fun future scene together, what would it be? What would you do together?
Ooh.
What do you think, Johannah?
Well, I know this is probably not going to happen, but Loretta and I did at one point discuss, you know, there's been lots of different sort of little shops in Hope Valley, and you know, the dress shop has been turned into something completely different, which is wonderful. Loretta and I do both love hats, and there's been obviously a shortage of hats on our show lately, which is totally fine. But I was saying it would be so fun to have a hat shop. Anyway,
baskets. What's happened to all the baskets? It used to be known for ladies just trotting about town holding baskets.
Yes,
so many.
I mean, we crack out the baskets every now and again. Yeah, but I think the hat shop would be good. But I think the whole thing is that, you know, people wouldn't be allowed to choose their own hats. We would choose the hat that matches the customer. We'd probably be terrible at it, but we might be great because, you know, Molly has a real sense of style too, and Florence is, you know, very opinionated. So between us, I think we could make everybody look fabulous.
Yeah, it sounds.
Yes, and we briefly discussed the idea of us running a daycare. I mean, if you want shenanigans, throw us together with a bunch of, you know, 2 and 3 and 4-year-olds. That'd be really funny.
Totally. You know, and I think the fans have, you know, over the years been begging for like a double date kind of scene, right?
Yes.
You know, so I don't know, maybe. I mean, now, you know, Florence is all married now, but you know, she could rope Ned into anything.
Exactly.
So
absolutely,
you know, maybe we're going to try and
set
Molly up with someone.
Yeah,
I should hope so. Yeah, man.
All right. Well, Rachel asks now, Winkles of Heart features strong female characters, and they've got vulnerabilities and dreams. That's something that everyone can relate to then. So what are the qualities and traits that you find inspiring in your own characters, and has the show or your own characters motivated your personal faith or life journey?
Well, it's a great question. You know, I mean, I've spoken about this multiple times. I guess maybe I have, maybe I haven't, but you know, it's certainly no secret. You know, when I got Winkles the Heart, I myself was going through a very difficult time personally in my life. Like, life was really, really not good for me when I got this part, because I was really grieving someone very close to me who I had lost. And so when this audition came, I really understood, you know, where Florence was coming from. And I think, you know, a part of the sort of journey that Flo has been going on over the years, I can sort of relate. You know, there's been a lot of healing, and there's been a lot of rediscovering of joy and leaning on community and, you know, kindness and compassion, you know, from other people in town. And so in some ways, yeah, I sort of feel like her journey has been somewhat a bit of a mirror for my own journey, you know, like in terms of healing and just sort of having hope, right? That even in dark times, there is hope that things will get better, that things will improve, that there are wonderful, joyful experiences and things in your future that you don't even know about right now. And so, yeah, in that way, I do sort of feel connected to her somewhat.
Mm.
But but in terms of what I love about Florence, I mean, I just really, I like that she's so deeply loyal, which I really, I hope that I have that quality myself. She's just one of those people that she is there, no questions asked, as much as she can be a bit of a busybody and, somewhat, likes to talk. She's a very, very loyal character. And so I really appreciate that about her. And I also kind of appreciate that she's somewhat bold. Like she will say, well, no, that's not appropriate. I enjoy that. I enjoy the lack of apology that she has at certain times.
Yeah, I was thinking, back in the beginning, she was very much the sort of Mrs. Mangle, Miss Watson sort of type character. And Australian references, sorry, Johanna.
No problem.
And she's very, very much softened over the years. And you definitely see her as a real heart of gold type character now, more than just a sort of town gossip.
Yeah, and listen, and I think that, my feeling about Florence has always been that she is a person who was processing a lot of pain. And, people who are in pain aren't always nice. Sometimes they can be pretty cranky, actually. And so I just, from the beginning, sort of justified any of her behavior in that she really was, she was in pain. And rather than being open about that, and saying, I'm really heartbroken and I am not coping and I don't know what to do and I feel really scared and completely helpless and out of control. I think that she just chose to be tough.
Yep.
Just be tough and turn a lot of that pain outwards. And attack other people with it, right? So, yeah, I think that, over the years, she's been on a real journey of healing. And because of that, we've had a chance to see who she really is, to see what her heart really is.
Yeah.
And so it's been very joyful for me and really fun, to see what the writers are going to cook up, for us next.
She healed so much that she was able to find new love. Did that come as a surprise?
Yeah, which is a wonderful surprise, right? A really wonderful surprise. And I really wanted that for her.
Yeah.
I thought that it would I thought it'd be really funny, actually, to just have a really controlling, sort of very tightly wound character be out of control, with her emotions and fall in love. I thought that would be kind of funny. And then I also just thought, it would be beautiful. It's so nice to have like a second chance.
Yeah. How about you,
Absolutely.
Johanna? Do you relate to Molly?
Oh goodness, yes. Well, as much like Loretta eloquently said, these ladies have been on such a journey, and we've been afforded in the last couple of seasons, the luxury of having bigger stories, and so the audience has gotten to know us better. But yeah, I think what's so lovely about their journey is, they started out with loss and grief and, sort of made their way together. And as Loretta said, found her way of coping, whether that was, to be sort of high strung and uptight in Florence's case and uppity, or, Molly's case, just, maybe a little bit more gossipy than I think either of them actually necessarily innately are. You're a little bit bored and trying to kind of find ways to minimize your pain. Molly's turned into, I think one of the things that's really been fun for me is I've been able to really find or embody sort of Molly's playful, sassy sort of side, and that's that's very much me, as my husband will attest. But yeah, so just that sort of playful side, because we've come out, we've come into this new phase of our life where we're, finding new opportunities, work-wise and relationship-wise, and sort of finding out who we are after coming through that grief and that loss. So yeah, it's been really fun to flex those muscles. And our friendships just had an opportunity to just get stronger and stronger, and no matter what, always be there for each other. And I think that's sort of what I love about this show and these characters in general, is just that the message being that as a community, no matter what happens, we'll get through it together, you know. And if somebody stumbles, one of the community members or all of the community members or a good portion of the community rallies together to take care of that person. And I very much believe in that. In my own life, you know, we a lot of us live in bigger cities, so our communities are, you know, our work and family and friend or faith communities. And I very much, you know, I very much found that in the community that Loretta and I are both a part of, the film industry and the theater industry. Loretta does, you know, theater. Bless her, she does beautiful theater. There's a really wonderful ethos in that world of really looking out for each other, because, you know, life in the arts is hard. It's very unstable. It can be very emotionally challenging. It can be really on people's mental health. So I think we have a really wonderful example in our own community of looking out for each other, and that's something I really valued in the Hope Valley community. And I think we've only had one more example of, you know, we've gone through a pandemic together, and, you know, what affects me affects you. So just that whole idea of the social good and looking out for each other and really being community minded, that really is something that speaks very deeply to me as a person. And so, yeah, my journey with Molly and with Florence and Molly has just been so delightful and so beautiful. And we've been able to grow in our ability to find joy and new purpose and meaning. And just deepening a friendship, which very much parallels Loretta and I's journey in our own lives. You know, and, you know, we've gone through so much together. You know, my daughter grew up and went to university. My daughter's 24. Loretta became pregnant and became a mother on this show. You know, so many beautiful milestones have happened for all of us, and it's just been such a gift, such a gift.
Yeah, it is. You know, I always kind of joke, but it's not a joke really. And I mean, whether people, you know, believe it or not, but really behind the scenes on this show, like, we kind of are our own community of, like, Hope Valley. You know, we help each other out. You know, like, I had to move house one season, and people were bringing boxes in for me. And, you know, Andrea Brooks had a baby, and so I gave her all of my daughter's baby stuff. You know, like, my car broke down at one point, so Johanna was like, don't worry, you're going to carpool with me, I'll take you to set. And so, like, we really do help each other out and have, like, really true and genuine friendships behind the scenes. And so it is kind of, I think maybe that also translates to on screen as well.
Yeah, definitely.
You know, there is that sense of community, and and you're not alone, which, you know, is totally Hope Valley values.
Genuinely warm relationships between us.
Yeah.
So, Johanna just touched on it then, but Loretta, you have done a bit of theatre. Heather wanted to know, was that you singing in the opening of the ice cream shop?
Yes.
The beautiful voice. And like, have you done musical theatre before?
No. So I'm not a singer. Listen, I love to sing. Trust me, I love to sing. I'm not a singer. And Rothgar and I were so intimidated because, you know, that was the beginning of last season, and we're like, oh, great. So we had to do a singing and dancing number in front of Jack Wagner, who's been on Broadway and is also like a genuine, like, rock star, like, has had a music career. And, you know, Kevin McGarry, who's also, like, a wonderful singer, Kayla Wallace, who's a wonderful singer, Pascal Hutton, who's a wonderful singer. We were just like, so they're going to get the non-musical theatre people to do this. So I'm not really. I mean, I can carry a little bit of a tune. I would really, you know, I'd like to get better. I guess put it on my list of things to do. But thank you. I appreciate it. You know, I mean, I guess after 9 seasons or after 8 seasons, they make you sing and dance. So
that's one thing they've never done when Calls the Heart, is it? Is the musical episode? You know?
I know. I think everybody wants it. I don't know that will ever happen. But I mean, there's so much talent on that show.
Truly.
You know, and Johanna, I mean, gosh, like, you are a prima ballerina, honey. You went to like the real thing. You know,
many moons ago. But thank you. You're getting comments down here about your voice being so beautiful, Loretta. So that's lovely. Yeah. And I have to say that there's with their canes and their striped outfits. Come on. I mean, it doesn't get any cuter than that. That was just delightful.
It was really cute. Though Rothgar and I, we worked really hard on it because we were like, We were like, so many things could go wrong. We don't want to be the things that go wrong.
You guys
Right?
killed it.
Between the music and the da-da-da-da-da-da. So anyway, but thank you. That's very nice.
Delightful.
Now, we've been getting a couple of questions about kids in the show. Obviously, we have the kids that are regularly in the show, but then both of you also had children at some point that we don't get to see so often. Do you think we'll see more of the kids next season, and may we ever see Rosaline again, or George?
George. That's a great
Was that
question.
your son?
My son's name is Paul.
Paul, was it? Oh, someone wrote George.
Yeah. I don't know. Go ahead, Johanna.
I honestly, and I'm not just being coy, I have absolutely no idea. I mean, my daughter has grown up into this. Speaking of talent, she's a singer-songwriter, stunningly beautiful, very clever, very talented. She's off to art school this fall. So I would be absolutely delighted to have Mimi Laverack back on the show, and the show would be very lucky to have her. But I have absolutely no idea what this new season's going to hold for her. So sorry.
Yeah. And I don't know either. I mean, I would love for Everett to come back, who plays Paul Jr. I would absolutely love him to come back on the show, but we don't always get a lot of say. So, you know, and this is a show, there's a lot of people on it, right? It's got a really good cast. And so it's tricky, you know, for everybody to sort of get their screen time, and there's so many stories that could be told, but they only have 42 minutes or whatever it is to tell those stories. So never say never, of course, but I am the same. I echo Johanna. I literally have no idea, but I'd totally be down for it.
Right? He was such a sweet. Yeah, Everett was such a lovely young man. He was just a doll. But yeah, that's exactly it. There's so much talent and not enough screen time. As Laura says, 42 minutes is not a lot of time for such a big cast. So
the Hardys often comment that there's the Hope Valley black hole where you use the characters and then you just never see them again.
Unfortunately, but it's literally just that. There's too many wonderful characters and just not enough time. That's all it is. Yeah.
Sorry, someone just put a question.
Loretta, did you see the question about Vegemite? I do think that needs to be answered. I do think that needs to be answered.
Have you introduced everyone to Vegemite?
Oh gosh, I have not. But Daniel Lissing did back in the day, right? Like when he used to be on the show, he was introducing Vegemite to people. But I have a really embarrassing story. I just had family in town. Actually, my husband's family, but they're from Australia. So one of them, who was Australian, said to me, "Do you have any Vegemite?" And I was like, "Totally." And so I cracked out the Vegemite and they put it on their toast. And then my niece was like, "This tastes a little bit funny, tastes a little bit sweet. What's going on?" I looked at the expiry date. It had expired 13 years ago. I'm not I tried to kill the Vegemite. 13 years. I said, we've moved with this. Like, I've moved with it. We've paid to move the expired Vegemite to multiple homes.
That's hilarious.
So I don't eat it very often, as you can tell.
So
I do like it, but I have a sense memory with it because it was the thing that my mum used to give me when I was sick, right? So if I had a tummy bug, that would be the thing that you could eat, with some flat lemonade, is you'd have Vegemite on toast. And so I sort of, if ever I get ill, I feel like it as I'm starting to get better. But I guess that means I don't get sick very often. So anyway, it's double-edged. Yeah, but I had to throw all the Vegemite out. I was like, oh my God.
So I had a British
coming. It was so good to see you. I'm sorry I tried to kill you with 13 expired Vegemite. But come again. You never know what will happen next time.
You like some botulism with your toast? Yeah, hilarious. Hilarious. Yeah, I had a British nanny, so we had Marmite, and I know there's a whole war between Vegemite and Marmite, and people swear it's different. I honestly can't tell much of a difference, but I enjoy it. But it doesn't that. does make me laugh to see North Americans' reactions to it. Like, it's like, come on, people, calm down.
Yeah, because you can't put on like peanut butter. It's not peanut butter.
No,
It's gotta be like a very
layer,
gentle
thin
fat,
layer.
you know? Some
Oh,
good
yeah.
weak butter, little scratch. Just meant to be
Lots of
salty,
butter.
not meant to be like
No,
thick.
exactly.
Like super fresh white bread with just
There you
good
go.
butter in there.
Exactly. You know, Sharon. You know.
Or sayo.
Anyway, but you know what? That's a good point. Maybe I will. Maybe next time I go home, I'll bring some. I'll bring some back and make people try it.
You know, it's also full of B vitamins, so it's very good for you.
Yeah, good for you.
Yes, it is.
Exactly. Also, when I was gathering questions, like nearly everyone commented how much they love the two of you and how much they love the characters and Flomo as a duo. So what can we expect from Florence and Molly in season 10, and love interest for Molly? Like, what's coming up?
Honestly, again, Loretta will echo this. We just got the first 2 episodes. We really honestly, we know as little as you do.
You literally know nothing.
So when you get your script, do you like rip it open and you're scouring for your name?
Well, they often email them to us to try and save paper, but metaphorically, yes. You're like, okay, no one talk to me. I've got to read my script. Yeah.
Well, because we all want to know what's going to happen.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Right. So it's always such a relief once the episodes air, because we have so many secrets that we have to hold on to between the time we're shooting it to when it actually goes out into the world. And so it's such a relief. It's like, oh, thank goodness you know everything, because I can't keep it in anymore, because we do all these interviews and we're like, can we say that? I don't know if we're going to say that. Oh, what can we say? We have to talk around everything. But in all honesty, we literally don't know. I mean, we know what happens in the first 2 episodes and that's it. We're just getting started. But you know what? Flo and Mo will be together.
Absolutely.
We know that.
Perfect.
Absolutely. We can
Well,
tell you that.
I'll let you go to bed. It must be nearly bedtime over there.
Thank you so much for fitting.
Can I finish with a comment? Like, I asked for questions, and Darren sent one question, but he sent this comment, and I thought it really summed up how so many people feel about you guys. And this is what he said. He says, the show holds a special place for myself. Often we can get busy in life with work commitments, and it's hard to provide for the large family, for church, for service. Through When Calls the Heart, I discovered, I'm reading it wrong now. When Calls the Heart, he discovered when it was running for 3 seasons. And from the very first moment, it impacted him tremendously. He said, I had to watch every episode from the beginning, all in a matter of 2 weeks after work. I needed a voice like this to help me break my increasing sadness and overwhelming pressures of work and life. I truly appreciate and have the highest respect for the cast, beautiful, strong performances, passion for their craft, and one thing that hit me clearly, this is what we were talking about before, genuine, loving, kind individuals. I have felt like I've walked every step of the way with Flo and Molly, and I'm grateful for them. Loretta and Johannah, please allow me to thank you both sincerely for bringing happiness and hope back into this old guy's world. God bless.
Oh, Darren, that's so nice.
I'm not crying. You're crying.
Nice.
Darren, that was beautiful. I
Goodness.
can't thank you enough for that. Thank you.
Thank
Honestly,
you so
I know
much.
Loretta would say the same thing. Like, these messages and communicating with our fans and connecting with you all is really the thing that just gets me out of bed in the morning. It makes all the trials and tribulations of being an actor just seem so minor compared to just like giving someone a story that means something to their lives. Like, that's all we can ever hope for, is to do meaningful work that makes a difference to people. So I'm going to get tearful, but thank you so much.
Yeah, that's so kind.
It was great.
So kind and so generous. And like this show, I mean, who would have thought, that it would go this long? I mean, I think we all hoped that it would, but it really has. It's not just a show for a lot of people. It is a movement, and it's a movement of all of the good, and I think, like we talked about earlier, the world out there is chaotic and scary and out of our control. And so having a place where there is like-minded people, and this is a real community.
Yeah.
It's a real community that values kindness and compassion and love and hope and helping each other, and being a part of putting out something really positive in the world is really, really joyful and really meaningful.
And
I know for me, and I'm sure for others too.
Oh, for us at Good, like Winkles the Heart is a godsend for us as a program, because that's exactly our whole philosophy as a channel. You know, we want to be putting something good and wholesome and positive that lifts people up and doesn't, fill them with dread or, we're trying to create an alternative to what so many other programs provide in mainstream media, murder and, horror and gore and whatever else.
Sure, and there's a place for it. But yeah, sometimes I think, sometimes you're just not in a place where you're like, I don't want to be traumatized by my entertainment today. I don't want to feel on edge today. I don't want to feel like, I don't want my entertainment to sort of make me feel anxious. And as much as it's compelling and wonderful, sometimes, having something that is, a gentle place to land feels good, right?
Yeah, just escape to a little utopia of Hope Valley and
yes,
all the way to the hour, 45
I know, I'm so excited to go back. I just love it. I love it there, and I love all the people there, and so it's it's thrilling. It's totally thrilling to be a part of it. And yay, Johanna, I'm going to see you and hug you.
Can't wait. Cannot wait. Only 3 more sleeps. Yeah.
4 more sleeps.
Yeah. The best. So thank you, Australia. We love you. We appreciate you.
Australia, my people.
Thank you so much.
Well,
good night. Talk again.
Good night, Sharon.
so much.
Bye. Thank you.